Lecture 4, Yoga Hinduism. As mentioned previously, there are 6 schools that are considered to be part of Orthodox Hinduism. Vedanta, which we already covered, Yoga, Samkhya, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Mimamsa. We've already surveyed the most dominant of these 6 schools, Vedanta Hinduism. In this lecture, we will study the Samkhya and Yoga schools of Hinduism that is well known in the West and which is part of all Hindu schools. We will begin with Samkhya Hinduism, since many teachings of this school have been preserved in yoga. Currently, ancient Samkhya school, dating back to 500 BC, has few followers. The introduction to Samkhya will be followed by focusing on Patanjali, who is considered the founder of the yoga school, since he is credited with putting into practice Samkhya theory. Finally, we will conclude with Hatha Yoga, which is a development of but one aspect of Patanjali's yoga practices. Samkhya. According to tradition, the Samkhya school of Hinduism was begun by Kapila around 500 BC. Its most important text is the Samkhya Karika, written by Ishvara Krishna, around 200 AD. The Samkhya Karika reduces all of existence to 2 primary categories, matter and spirit. Spirit, teaches this work, is made up of an infinite number of souls. The individual karma of each soul attracts matter around it, which then formed into various bodies according to the type of karma it is drawn to. Only by meditation can a soul be freed from attracting matter. For this to occur, though, even the idea of an individual self-reflective mind needs to be abandoned in order for the soul to rest in an inactive, pure state. It is important to note that Samkhya's dualism is essentially non-theistic, since the school maintains that existence consists of only an infinite number of souls and matter. Samkhya spirit good and body bad dualistic spirituality is even more evident in its belief that the limbs of the physical body bind the soul to the suffering of this world, while the intellect and soul tend toward the peaceful, pure realm of inaction. The Samkhya view of matter differs tremendously from the biblical notion of the goodness of matter and from the Christian doctrine of the incarnation. By becoming incarnate, Jesus Christ saves us through the body and not apart from the body. Another significant difference between Samkhya and Christianity is contained in the teachings from the Ecumenical Council of Vienne, and that was held in 1311 to 1312. This council clearly asserts it is erroneous and contrary to the truth of the Catholic faith, every doctrine or proposition rashly asserting that the substance of the rational or intellectual soul is not of itself and essentially the form of the human body. And I'm going to go through a number of key excerpts from the Samkhya Karika. As these passages indicate, the fundamental purpose of matter is to set free the spirit from its entrapment. This occurs when the individual soul ceases being actively conscious of its existence by resting in a pure state of isolation. And here are the teachings, I quote, "As in the world, a man engages in actions for the sake of the cessation of a desire, so also does the matter function for the sake of the release of the soul. Thus, from the study or analysis of the principles, the knowledge or salvation knowledge arises. I am not conscious. Consciousness does not belong to me. The I is not conscious, and this knowledge is complete because free from error, pure and solitary. With the cessation of matter, due to its purpose of having been accomplished, the spirit, on attaining separation from the body, attains isolation which is both certain and final." End of quote. Patanjali, founder of yoga. Little is known for certain about the life of Patanjali, the founder of yoga. According to tradition, he wrote the Mahabhayashaya and the Yoga Sutra. Scholars, though, have determined that it is not possible for both of these works to have been written by Patanjali, since the former is dated to around 200 BC, while the latter dates to 200 AD. So a 400-year difference there. The more recent work attributed to Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra, is the foundational document of the Yoga school. These sutras present the practical system of obtaining Samkhya school's goal of freeing the soul from its captivity to matter. The Yoga Sutra is divided into 4 books. Book 1 discusses the importance of calming the motions of the mind in order to obtain the goal of motionless peace. Book 2 details 8 branches, practical ways for a practitioner to be liberated. Book 3 describes meditation. According to the Yoga Sutra, the highest degree of mental concentration is when the mind rests without any object. Book 4 concludes the Yoga Sutras with philosophy. A summary of the 8 branches are provided in your transcript. The great Saint Teresa of Avila, she lived in the 1500s, once mistakenly thought that the highest degree of prayer is to be totally, completely absorbed in contemplation, where all objects, including the humanity of Christ, are put aside. In acknowledging her error, she wrote this: "When I began to gain some experience of supernatural prayer, I mean of the prayer of quiet, I tried to put aside everything corporeal, though I dared not lift up my soul, for being always so wicked, I saw that to do this would be presumption. But I thought I was experiencing the presence of God, as proved to be true, and I contrived to remain with him in a state of recollection. This type of prayer, if God has a part in it, is full delight and brings great joy. And in view of the advantage I was deriving from it, and the pleasure it was bringing me, no one could have made me return to meditation on the humanity, that's the humanity of Christ. On the contrary, this really seemed to me a hindrance. O Lord of my soul and my good Jesus Christ crucified! Never once did I recall this opinion, which I held without a feeling of pain. I believe I was committing an act of high treason, though I committed it in ignorance. This withdrawal from the corporeal must doubtless be good, since it is advised by such spiritual people, but my belief is that it must be practiced only when the soul is very proficient. Until then, it is clear that the Creator must be sought through the creatures." Let me say that again. She says it is clear that the Creator must be sought through creatures. All this has to do with the grace which the Lord bestows on every soul. Into that matter I will not enter. What I should like to make clear is that Christ's most sacred humanity must not be reckoned among these corporeal objects. End of quote. Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga further developed the third limb from the Yoga Sutras. The purpose is twofold: to prepare one for meditation and to keep the body healthy. And the yoga postures are associated with this school of Hatha Yoga. And these postures are called asanas. Many in the West erroneously mistake this one aspect, the asanas, the yoga postures, with yoga in its entirety. God bless.